Not all waterfalls make the front page of travel guides, and that's exactly what makes them special. While crowds flock to the famous cascades with ticket booths and fences, there are still untouched places where nature flows freely, hidden in forests, tucked behind hills, or waiting at the end of a quiet trail. These are the waterfalls you stumble upon, not the ones you plan around. In this video, we're going off the grid to uncover 5 underrated natural gems waterfalls that are beautiful, peaceful, and completely under the radar. No crowds, no queues, just raw, powerful nature and places that feel like your own secret discovery. Whether it's a cliffside drop, a hidden swimming hole, or a magical cave behind a sheet of falling water, these spots remind you why exploring is still worth it. Let's dive in. Some of the best places in nature can't be driven to, they have to be earned. That's exactly the case with this first hidden gem. A waterfall so tucked away in the wilderness that you won't find it on the average tourist map. It doesn't have a paved car park or a refreshment stand. What it has is silence, the crunch of leaves under your boots, and the rising sound of water as you approach something truly untouched. This particular waterfall sits deep within a forest reserve, reached only after a 90-minute hike through uneven trails, dense greenery, and winding paths that almost feel like they've been forgotten. The route is part of the adventure. Along the way, you pass through towering trees, moss-covered rocks, and small wooden footbridges that creak beneath your steps. You'll likely hear nothing but birds, the occasional rustle in the underbrush, and the wind moving through the trees. It's the kind of trail that reminds you how disconnected we can become from the natural world, and how good it feels to reconnect. When the path finally opens up, you hear it before you see it, a low, rhythmic roar echoing off the trees. And then, suddenly, you're there. A wide cascade pours down over dark rock and stages, sending a fine mist into the air, and cutting through the quiet with its steady energy. This isn't a towering, single-drop showstopper. It's something different, layered, flowing, and alive in a way that feels deeply personal. It's not about grandeur here. It's about presence. The water pools gently at the base into a shallow stream, and if you take your boots off, the cold hits you instantly. Shocking, but refreshing. There are flat boulders nearby, perfect for sitting, resting, or even journaling if you're the reflective type. This is a place to stay a while, to breathe, to listen. You won't find selfie sticks here. No loud groups. No signage reminding you to respect nature, because the kind of people who make it this far already do. That's the beauty of a waterfall you have to hike to. The journey filters out everything but the intention. You came for something real, and you found it. In a world full of convenience and instant views, this place stands still, patient, quiet, and waiting for the few who are willing to make the effort. And once you've been here, you understand that the hidden ones are always the most rewarding. Tucked away in a warm valley, shielded by thick trees and overgrown brush, lies a waterfall, so tranquil it feels like stepping into a dream. Unlike the roaring, dramatic falls that dominate travel posters, this one whispers. A slender stream of water slips down a rock face, gentle but constant, feeding into a glassy natural pool below. It's not marked on most maps. In fact, it's known mostly through word of mouth, passed along like a secret between friends who understand the value of silence, stillness, and solitude. What makes this spot magical isn't its size, but its atmosphere. The pool is perfectly still at the edges, warm in the late afternoon sun, and protected by a canopy of leaves that filters the light into golden beams. There's a natural ledge halfway up the rock where water fans out like a veil before touching down in the pool. Locals say it's safe to climb, and on warm days, you'll see a handful of swimmers standing beneath the fall, letting the water beat gently across their shoulders. This isn't a tourist attraction. There's no infrastructure, no signs, and no trash bins, which means it's up to those who find it to leave it just as untouched. That's part of the unspoken agreement. If you discover this place, you respect it. You don't shout or play music. You don't come with an agenda. You come to slow down. Not all waterfalls flow gently. Some fall with power, crashing, spilling, and thundering down sheer rock faces with the kind of intensity that makes you stop mid-step. The next hidden gem on our list is exactly that, a cliffside cascade tucked deep within a rugged landscape, far from highways and tour buses. It doesn't show up in sponsored posts or glossy travel brochures, and that's exactly why it's special. To reach it, you start with a slow drive through winding back roads, past grazing sheep and sun-bleached fields. Eventually, the road turns to gravel, and you follow a faint trailhead that seems to disappear into nothing. But then the terrain opens up, and you see it. A vertical wall of stone, rising like a fortress, with a silver ribbon of water spilling from the very top. You can hear it before it comes fully into view, a deep, echoing crash that rolls through the valley like distant thunder. The waterfall begins with a narrow stream that rushes over the edge of the cliff, free-falling nearly 100 feet before smashing into jagged rocks below. Mist rises with every drop, catching the sunlight and creating halos of light that dance across the air. There's something raw about it. No manicured paths, no fences, no viewing platforms. Just you, the wind, and the endless rush of water plunging into the earth. If you venture closer, the path gets steeper. You can climb partway up the base of the cliff for a better view, navigating over mossy stones and slippery ledges. The air gets cooler as you approach, the spray from the falls mixing with the scent of wet rock and wild grass. It's not the kind of place you stay dry, and that's the point here. You feel nature on your skin. Few people come out this far. It's too remote, too unpredictable. But for those who do, the reward is a moment of pure connection. Standing beneath this towering cliffside cascade, watching water that's carved through rock for centuries, you start to feel very small in the best possible way. It's humbling, powerful, and unforgettable. This is the kind of waterfall that reminds you why the world is worth exploring. Not just for photos or checklists, but for feelings. Feelings of awe, of wonder, of standing in a place where time slows down and nature speaks in its loudest, wildest voice. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it say, "You were meant to find this." There's something undeniably magical about a place that hides more than it reveals. That's exactly what makes this next hidden gem so special, a waterfall that not only stuns with its beauty, but conceals a secret behind its shimmering curtain. It's not just a sight to see, but an experience to step into. Literally, this waterfall lies deep within a forest that feels straight out of a fairy tale. Thick canopies, moss-covered trunks, and the distant sound of water pulling you forward like a magnet. The trail to get there isn't marked clearly, and that's by design. Only those who ask around or are willing to follow the sound find it. And when you finally arrive, it's more than worth the effort. The waterfall itself cascades over a broad rock ledge, tall and narrow. Its flow steady, but not overwhelming. But the magic reveals itself the closer you get. Peer through the falling water, and you'll notice something others might miss. A shadow, a space, a void behind the fall. There's a narrow ledge to the side, partially hidden by vines and roots, that wraps around the rock face. Follow it slowly, carefully, and suddenly, you're behind the waterfall inside a natural cave carved by time and water. The air back here is cool and damp. Water trickles from the ceiling. The sound of the falls changes softer, muffled, as if you've stepped out of the world and into a pocket of stillness. From this hidden vantage point, you can look out through the falling water at the forest beyond, like watching the world through a moving glass wall. It's surreal, peaceful, almost sacred. Some visitors light candles inside the cave. Others sit in silence, listening to the endless rhythm of the falls. The cave itself isn't large, but it doesn't need to be. What it offers is rare, a space within nature, not just around it. A place to be enveloped, surrounded, and held by the earth itself. Few people ever find this spot. It's not advertised, and that's intentional. Those who come here are seekers not of attention, but of presence. And those who find it never forget the feeling of stepping through water into another world. This waterfall reminds us that beauty isn't always in plain sight. Sometimes, it hides waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer, step a little further, and discover something extraordinary behind the obvious. Some waterfalls are meant to be admired from a distance. Powerful, crashing torrents that leave you in awe. But then there are others, quieter, calmer, and more personal. The kind you don't just look at, the kind you step into. This final hidden gem is one of those rare places. A wide, gentle flowing waterfall you can actually walk beneath and feel on your skin. Not too strong to knock you back. Not too soft to forget. Just perfect. It's located in a secluded gorge, surrounded by dense woodland and natural stone walls that curve like an open amphitheater. From above, the river spills over a wide ledge, not in one big drop, but as a sheet, fanned out like a shimmering curtain. It glides over smooth rock, creating a soft roar that echoes through the hollow space like a calming rhythm. The best part? You can walk right into it. Behind the waterfall is a small alcove, carved by centuries of flowing water. You can duck behind the stream and stand in the space between the rock and the fall, looking out at the forest beyond through a veil of liquid glass. It's quiet back there, with the falls acting like a shield from the outside world. Even on a hot day, the temperature drops instantly, offering pure refreshment without needing to dive in. There's no better way to end this journey through nature's hidden treasures than with a waterfall that invites you in, that welcomes you to not just watch, but participate. Because sometimes, the most powerful experiences don't come from standing back, they come from stepping right into the heart of it.